Hi, welcome to season 2 of Fractional CMOs and the 90-Day Win. I'm Dean Way. This season, we're going to talk through scenarios that companies and these CMOs experience to share lessons learned and tips on how to get the most out of a fractional CMO you hired. So let's jump in. Hi, Ari.
Hi, Dean.
Ari, so you just started a hypothetical 1-year engagement, okay? What's the first problem you typically have to deal with for your type of client, or the first problem you go hunting for? And also tell the audience a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Ari Mason. I'm a fractional CMO and a brand and marketing consultant. I work with early and growth stage startups who have plateaued. They're looking to grow, or they're maybe building out their marketing function for the first time. And so I'll go in, diagnose the problem,
Right.
pick it apart, break down all their processes, put it all back together, and create this authentic identity for this brand that makes the organization the one that every customer is going to look to, the only possible solution, right? And so
Right.
it's a full organizational approach. So what I'll do within the context of this engagement,
Right.
dovetailing on that, the full organizational approach, marketing is the last domino when you think about the ecosystem of the organization. And so often, especially in the B2B context, and it exists in the B2C landscape as well, what you see is these functional areas existing in vacuums. And there's a disconnect within them. So sales and marketing are age-old rivals. And when I come in and work with a sales team and I'm excited to work with them, it blows their mind. They've never had a marketer say, "Come on, let's partner." Same thing with client services and customer support. So in order for marketing to work properly, that synergy, that open line of communication, and that single message has to exist across at least those three parts of the organization.
Right.
So what I'll do is I will evaluate that baseline. Where is there transparency? What is the foundation? What is your mission statement? I've only had one person be able to answer that question on the spot. And so brand and culture are not inherently different. They are the same. Embodying it within your organization, understanding it, and then projecting it to the customer, the client, the prospect, and allowing that to flow through the entire engagement from start to finish is what creates this really Loctite buyer's journey
Right.
and customer client experience. And so that's the first thing I do is I look at those foundational elements. Where are they at with brand and culture? And what is the reason they brought me on? Usually the problem and the solution are different. So where's the bleeding? Let's go stop the bleeding. Let's get a quick win. And let's go back to the beginning and figure out what caused that in the first place, or how to lay a foundation so that that doesn't crop up down the road.
And Sue, how about you? Hypothetical 1-year engagement. Most of your clients either have a problem you see all the time, or they don't even know they have a problem. So you're going to go hunting for it. And also let folks know a little bit about you too.
Thanks, Dean. I'm Sue Mysko. I'm a fractional CMO, and I am the founder of Hire Fractional, which is a hiring platform for lots of different types of fractional executives and roles.
Mm-hmm.
I used to run Deloitte's European marketing organization. I did the same thing for Accenture for 11 years, and I'm now living in Cayman Islands, and I just moved here. What I have found is there's probably three things that we find when we're going into an organization. First off is that marketing is disconnected from the business. Marketing is operating in a silo, and they're not looking at the goals and objectives of what the business is trying to achieve. And so we're seeing a giant disconnect between what marketing is doing and what the business is asking for and where that is. So our first step is to say, all right, Let's make sure we bring those two and get those two aligned. I would say the second thing that we really find is that they're lacking the foundations. So, we want to say to them, who is your team? Do they have clear roles and responsibilities? What is the budget? What is the strategy? All of those pieces. Let's look at all of those foundations and say, all right, where do we have gaps? And then lastly, what does your roadmap look like? Do you actually have a roadmap in place? Because without a roadmap, they can't be consistent.
Right.
And at the end of the day, marketing is all about being consistent. If you're just running off doing onesie, twosies things here and there, you're never going to get traction. It's being consistent. It's picking, if you even have to pick, two or three things, but be absolutely consistent on those two or three things. That's really critical in order to get the organization aligned. So taking the roadmap, taking the team, building those foundations, but ensuring that it is linked to the business strategy. If your marketing strategy is not linked to your business strategy, you're never going to be
Hmm.
successful.
All right. So let's stay on that theme for a second. So the business strategy and the marketing strategy. Really, the question I like to get to around this point is like, other than sharing, that and other information, like how this is going to sound inverted, but just bear with me. How does the CEO avoid wasting the money they spent on a fractional CMO, Sue?
Yeah, it is really about, you say I use the words information, but it's about communication.
Yeah.
It's about facilitating those cross departmental meetings to getting the people, getting marketing connected across the business so that they understand the business. If marketing doesn't understand the business, they can't be successful. But as a fractional CMO, not only do I want to talk to people in the organization, I want to talk to customers. I want to know what the customers are saying about the business. I want to understand the things that are going well, the things that aren't going well, the things that need to be changed, where our opportunities are. I want to talk to partners. What partners do we have in the marketplace, and ask them those exact same questions? So really what it comes down to, if, in my world, for a fractional CMO to be successful in the organization, yes, they need that information, but they need the interaction with all of the people, the departments, the vendors, the customers, to really get that deep knowledge so that they can make those proper strategic decisions moving forward.
And Ari, what do you think?
Yeah, completely agree. It's more than just looking at marketing. It really is an embedded partnership. When you're coming in as a fractional CMO, you are a partner who's integrated into the organization. And in order to achieve that success and to close those gaps, it's understanding where those breakage points are: upstream, downstream. The starting point, the path of least resistance, is usually the sales, marketing, customers support, client services, and that is a very easy win because nobody tends to speak the same language.
Right.
And sales and marketing, or sorry, sales and client services, or even if it's B2C, customer support, and your social team, who is serving as an extension of customer support, that's direct voice of consumer. And when there's a discrepancy between the knowledge sharing and the outbound communication, the internal communication, the external communication, when there's a discrepancy, then nobody can be successful. So it really is looking, same approach as Sue, slightly different way, at how the organization is operating. You find a lot of leaders who have been promoted because they're really good at what they do. And it's not an upskilling, it's a reskilling to be an effective leader. So to empower the team, is the leader equipped to be able to do that so that the marketing team can achieve those objectives that correlate to broader business outcomes? It's
Let's talk
all
about let's
the
talk about the
ecosystem.
marketing team for a second then, because I'm glad you brought that up. So here's like another hypothetical that we go over. We like here a lot. So a friend of yours, someone you respect, has a longtime CMO, let's say, has just become a fractional CMO. They've just got their first engagement, and they're walking into a client where there's already an existing marketing team, like junior folks and mid-level folks, right? Like, what advice would you give that person would you pass along as far as dealing with or sort of setting frame for an existing marketing team?
Learn, learn. When you're going into an established organization, that team is inherently going to feel uncertain. They're going to feel a little bit threatened. And there's going to be this sense of insecurity with new leadership coming in.
Right.
So, getting embedded with the marketing team is really about learning who does what, how they do it, and not only in that professional showing up in the workplace capacity, who are they as individuals? What's their individual operating system? How do they like to receive feedback? How do they prefer to communicate? Where is there friction across the marketing team because there's this lack of understanding because people operate in different ways? So coming in as a partner and saying, help me support you. So sharing, I'm in here. This is what we're working together collectively to achieve. And we're in this together. So help me understand what's your role? Where can I support you? How can I help you? How can we do this together? So
Right.
coming in, collaborating, developing that partnership, and really looking at the marketing team as this microcosm for the broader organization. If you can't fix that, close that gap and fix that communication breakdown where it may exist within the marketing team, how are you going to pull back and do that across different functional areas?
And so let me invert the question a little bit for you. Same question, but I'm going to invert it. Okay.
Okay.
Your friend has just started a 1 year engagement, first ever fractional engagement. There's a marketing team in place. What are you telling them to absolutely not do?
Yeah, you know what? Don't come in like you know everything. And at the end of the day, a good in it's about being a good leader. It doesn't matter if you're fractional full time. Coming into a new role in an organization, your primary role is to come in and to listen and to ask questions. The most important thing you can do is listen to your people and ask questions. Of course, they're nervous, but you want to talk to each of them. You want to ask, you want to sit down and have one on ones with everyone. You want to understand with them, what is it what is it they're working on? What is it that gives them energy, gives them a spark, gives them life? What is it that they're not doing? Where do they want to take their career? So that at the end of the day, you can do a skills assessment and say, all right, do we have all the right people in the right seats on this bus? Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you've got a happy team. The worst thing you could do to directly answer the question, the worst thing you could do is to come in and say, well, we did this in my last organization, so you
Yeah.
know what, we're going to apply it here.
Yeah.
It's the fastest way to have people roll their eyes, take a step back, and say, all right, let's just ride this person out. It's that level of arrogance that you just don't ever want to see. It's taking that collaborative approach to just ensure that everyone is on the same page. But at the end of the day, understanding where people want to take their careers. So I am a people leader. That is a big part of who I've always been in an organization. And at the end of the day, people just want to be heard and they want to feel supported. So how can I support you in your career? And if this role isn't exactly the right role for you, let's find you the right one. This doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to have to let you go. It just means let's find you the right role in the organization. So it really is about listening, learning, and applying those learnings and taking that collaborative approach.
Well, then that rolls us into the next question, but we're going to look at it from a different angle. Okay. So, like, you're not the fractional CMO. You're one of the full time employees working on the marketing team, right? The company's just hired a fractional CMO. Like, what changes in your job should you expect, Sue?
So it will, if I was coming in as a fractional or expecting a fractional in, I would be very much expecting more structure. I would be very much expecting a clear list of activities. I would be expecting having a clear set of OKRs that we are working against, metrics, tracking. I would expect reporting, be it weekly reporting. I would expect monthly reporting. I would be expecting calls. I would be expecting a weekly team call.
Mm.
I'd be expecting a one-on-one call. And then depending on how senior or junior the team is, there may be daily stand-ups just to ensure where everyone is at. So Yeah, if there was a new fractional coming in, I would be looking at the level of structure. I would be looking at the level of metrics, the KPIs, the reporting, the budgeting. I would be very much expecting it to be data driven. And if we don't have those data pieces in place, that we would be rapidly getting those.
All right. And Ari, what do you think?
I love it. Really, to be an effective fractional CMO or an effective people leader. And I
Yeah.
love that you use that term, Sue, because that's the approach that I take as well. Brand and culture are the same. I've said it before, I'll say it again, right? I really hammer this home. So, assuming the fractional CMO coming in knows what they're doing, what I would expect as a member of the marketing team is somebody to come in and diagnose and understand. And so it starts with that listening piece. It starts with looking at what's currently happening. Where is the organization trying to go? Where's the marketing team trying to go? Does the marketing team even know where they're trying to go? What is the team struggling with collectively and individually? And then creating a framework to solve each of those things. And to Sue's point, having an engaged team, being an effective leader requires you to engage your team, requires a team that's intrinsically motivated. And you're really leaving money on the table when you don't have that engaged team. So your role as a leader is to make your team so loyal to the organization and so inspired to get out of bed and do what they're doing every day and help them get there, right? If they're not in the right place, if they're not seeing how their work is impacting the marketing OKRs, the marketing objectives, the
Right.
business objectives, and that doesn't come through for them, why are they doing it? So, bringing that structure into place, establishing that framework, that open line of communication, creating that collaborative environment, and really identifying okay, this is an engagement, this is a partnership where we're going to work together to make this team stronger. I'm here to empower you as a team and you as an individual,
Right.
and then correlate it back to what's going on in the business. So it's the liaison between top level business and boots on the ground marketing team.
And I'm just
That's
gonna like point this out to any CEOs who are watching this episode. Uh, yeah, Ari misspoke. Marketing always knows what it's doing. Everything's fine. We're kicking her out of the club right after this episode. Just roll with
if
it.
marketing doesn't
Everything is keep calm. Carry on.
yeah, if marketing does not know what they're doing, that's not a failure on marketing's part.
Oh, you're making it worse. Oh my
I'm
god.
making it better.
I'm trying to
I'm
save
making
you.
it better.
Okay, then okay, Ari.
I'm not in the business of placating.
All
I
right, our last
point.
question then. This is kind of like a preference slash style kind of question, but around fractional CMOs. You know, had a lot of fractional CMOs on these episodes at this point, right? Do you prefer or do you think it's better with a fractional engagement is a marathon or a sprint, right? Like it's got an absolute end date and we're like doing everything we can to like, achieve by X date or X metric is achieved. Or do they fractional engagements or CMO engagements work better when it's kind of like it's an ongoing, who knows when it's going to end, marathon kind of engagement? And stop scaring the CEOs about marketing.
I'm not scaring the CEOs about marketing. I'm demonstrating that marketing is a partner,
Yes.
right? Marketing is going to amplify your success.
So sprint or marathon?
Depends. I would never go into an engagement and say, hard stop, right? And it
Yeah.
depends on what the organization is looking to achieve. Do they want to develop this solid foundation framework, right size the team, or onboard a team if there's an absence of an in house marketing team so that they can then grow and scale internally,
Right.
right? At which point there is going to be an expiration date on the engagement because then my role as a fractional CMO is to come in and to build that, to bring on the right people, help them develop the marketing roadmap in terms of activities that will drive business growth and success, and in terms of the team who is the right person to hire and in what order.
And Sue, what
If
do you think?
So
one,
for me,
sorry, if that's not the case, then it gets to be an ongoing partnership where you're supplementing, right? A lot of Fortune 500 companies are eliminating their in-house CMO roles.
Yeah.
So that's the it depends part. And I'm sorry to cut you off, Sue, but wanted to just finish that thought.
so for me, it depends on the objectives of the organization.
Yeah.
So if the organization is in a spot where they're getting ready for sale and they need to sprint, then absolutely a fractional CMO can hop in there. You know, you've got a very clear set of objectives, you've got a very clear timeline, and a fractional CMO can absolutely jump in and support that. If the company says, you know what, we're in it for the long haul, but we want to do 40% growth this year, you can do that as a marathon, but you're going to want to do that by putting quarterly metrics in place. What
Mm-hmm.
are we going to achieve this quarter? Everything around a fractional CMO needs to be metrics driven. What are our OKRs for this quarter? What do we need to achieve for this quarter? And are we hitting our OKRs? Are we hitting those metrics? And that will be the ultimate success. And if we're hitting those metrics, it doesn't matter to me if I'm on a 1 year contract, a 5 year contract, or a 3 month contract, because at the end of the day, my job is to deliver results. So the only difference between a sprint and a marathon is the long-term goal of the company. Do they want to sell it, and are they a startup and they're looking for sale, or are they looking for aggressive growth but just not looking for sale anytime soon?
I'll tell you, I think the way I ask that question is always awkward, but I rarely get two people giving me the same answer. It's a good question. I just probably need to rework it a bit. Okay, I think that's all the time we have. This has been great. Thank you so much, both of you. Ari, who should contact you and how should they contact you?
Yeah. If you are an earlier growth stage startup, doesn't matter if you're B2B or B2C, and you're either building out your marketing function for the first time, or you've hit, and typically for B2B organizations, it's been founder led sales, right? So
Right.
now we're at the point of getting ready to integrate marketing. Or you've recognized that the startup team and the growth team are different. And there's a dissonance there because business objectives you have at this growth stage are not aligned with the in-house team that you've got right now who got you from 0 to 1. Now you're going 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. So these are the organizations that I work with to look at that big picture, correlate it to those objectives, diagnose, get in there, fix things, and then develop the long-term strategy and amplify the people, get them into the right roles, the right places, the right kinds of communication across the organization so that you look like you have a question. Tell me.
I want to make sure, like, how do you prefer to be contacted?
You can
I
reach
don't
me
want you to
through,
forget that.
no, not forgetting that. You can reach me through my website, arimason.com,
Okay,
or you can look me up on LinkedIn as well.
there you go. And Sue, who should be reaching out to you and how should they reach out to you?
So I work with B2B services companies. So
Okay.
business strategy, tech strategy, cybersecurity strategy. So if you want to find me directly, you can find me at chiefmarketingoutsider.com. Or if you decide that I am not the one for you, or I am not in your sweet spot because you're looking for a fractional CMO in B2B or B2C rather, then I'd encourage you to go to hirefractional.com. It is our fractional platform. It is absolutely free for companies to come, post their fractional job, and they can then vet all of the fractionals who are currently in the database. So I would welcome you to come and check out hirefractional.com. It is 100% free for companies to come and find a fractional, and not just a CMO. We have fractionals across the entire C-suite. So if you're looking for a services fractional CMO, me, Sue Mysko at Chief Marketing Outsider. All the other fractionals out there can be found at hirefractional.com.
Okay. Thank you both so much for being here. This has been really great today.
Thanks so
Thanks for
much, Dean. It's been great.
All right. See ya. Thanks, everyone. See you in the next episode.